Right then, this is a quick walk around video for a beautiful looking Lexus. This is a GS450 hybrid. It's the luxury model. First this later generation car, just 67,000 miles, lovely service history, and it's in really super condition. Certainly for a car that's now 11 years old. Front of the car, very clean, lights and lenses are clear and intact. There's no obvious cracks or condensation in there. Bonnet, which is vast, yet only, crikey, you find a couple of minor stone chips, but amazing really. Near side of the car, lovely and smooth in the panels. Can't see any obvious sort of car parking dinks or indentations. Sorry, that's sorry, just get that little mud splatter off there because it looked horrible on there, but there we are. But the panel works very, very clean indeed. Just minor little sort of brush marks which you naturally get. Come around the back, and all clean and tidy. Around to the off side of the car, driver's side, and as with the near side, it really is just, I can't see any indentations there at all. It's a very, very clean car indeed. It's not to say there isn't or aren't any minor imperfections, because there will be, there's got to be, but nothing that sort of leaps out in any way. It's a really crisp looking car. Coming into the boot area, huge boot on the car, and you'd expect of a Lexus. It's beautifully finished in there as well. Let's come into the back of the car now. You've got this beautiful, it used to be called oak and beige, it may still be. The leatherwork is in beautiful condition. Let's come into the front now. Full set of original Lexus matches, as you can see. Passenger seat has been given hardly any use. It looks almost factory fresh now. Coming to the front now. Again, all very clean and tidy. Footwell area is very nice. Driver's seat, the one that should show a decent amount of wear, shows hardly anything at all. Right, so inside the car now, what a beautiful interior it is. Engine's running now, by the way, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated. You can see there, sat nav working exactly as it should. Just pop the car into reverse, you can see there, rear camera working exactly as intended as well. But it is in beautiful condition. Come up to the main dashboard binnacle, hopefully you can see. 67,776 miles, and there are no warning lights on the dashboard at all. And it's just such a lovely interior. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key set, all here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Lexus GS450 hybrid, and it's the luxury model. This car is registered, if I can read it, MJ12VCA, and mileage currently recorded is 67,760. The reason we do all of our videos, as I always say, especially these road test sections, is to ensure that if anyone is looking online at any of our cars, they get to see the very car advertised actually in operation. The reason we feel it's important is because, unfortunately, like many people out there, we've been to see cars which have looked absolutely fine in photographs or description, but only to get there and find out when you drive the car there's an obvious fault that shows up. So hence that's why we do it. Also done on these very quiet country roads in this absolutely beautiful part of Gloucestershire. Even on a miserable rainy day like today, it's lovely. This actually forms part of the road test route we take our customers on, and the theory being that hopefully then it'd be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, as you'll know from the advert hopefully, very, very well looked after car, lovely ownership, just one private owner from new. Full service history all the way through, and it immediately feels like it, because first impression of any car is the most important one, and it just feels absolutely as tight as a drum. Press the power button, starts up the engine and the hybrid system, generally silent into battery. For those who've never driven one of these, they are what's now commonly referred to as a self-charging hybrid. So basically, in terms of operating and running and owning the car, you going to run it exactly the same as you would have done any normal petrol car in the past. So basically, when you get low on fuel, you're going to put fuel in, and that is it. You're going to be stood at a pump for a couple of minutes, no plugging in, no waiting, no fighting over charge ports, nothing like that. It's an unbelievable system, and again, for those who've come from, let's say, conventional big kind of turbo diesels or even petrol competitors, they still astonish, these cars. They really, really do. It's the seamlessness of everything, the interaction between the engine, the hybrid system, the gearbox, it all comes together with, unbelievable engineering behind it. It's so seamless in the way it operates. It really does make, its competitors feel very clunky in the way they operate, particularly when you're doing kind of the manoeuvres that can be quite grating. When you come to a stop in lots of cars, they can sort of jolt into gear, or you pull away, the sudden surges, and then they die off, or they sound a bit grumbly. Because it's working generally with the battery at low speeds, you've got that electric car feel at low speeds, so it's just got that wonderfully smooth pickup of power. It is astonishing. The refinement is amazing. It's so quiet, so beautifully muted. But when you do press on, you've got this fantastic 3.5 litre V6, which, as with any good V6, should sound good. And it does, because you put your foot down and it just goes. It's got that lovely kind of howl to it. But, it's in the background. It's not there to irritate in any way, shape or form, and it doesn't. But it is a quick car. It really is a quick car, this one. I had a couple of the previous generation ones and loved them. And this is the first of this generation, I've experienced, although we've had plenty of the RX versions. But yeah, astonishing power plant, it really is. Worth pointing out, by the way, there are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. You do have, with these later hybrids, 3 settings for the engine, or the whole system. Twist it to the left, I'm now in eco mode. Press it down, I'm in normal mode. Twist it to the right, and suddenly, as if by magic, a rev counter appears on the dashboard, lovely sort of red backlighting, and there is a discernible, and it really is, difference in the throttle response. It's very, very quick indeed. This is an astonishing car. It really is. The gearbox, obviously CVT gearbox, perfect companion for this car, absolutely perfect. Don't believe the blithering idiots who, on the motoring journalists, who say, oh, you put your foot down, it revs up and then it sounds drony. Well, they do if you drive them like a Testarossa. They don't if you drive as any other normal human being would do. There you can it'll pick up and go. Smaller engine CVTs, yeah, I get their point, but not in this way. And the gearbox functions exactly as it should. So coming to the steering and chassis of the car, the steering's lovely, really nicely weighted in terms of the way they've done it. It's precise, it's accurate, and this isn't to pretend it's a sports car, because it isn't. It's not meant to be, but it feels, the helm is, just really nicely judged. It's got that lovely weighting to it that makes the car feel very solid and secure on the road. Worth pointing out, track's dead straight. There's absolutely no vibrations at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit. The chassis itself, that surface, by the way, we've just gone over, I try and talk at that same time, is like the surface of the moon. It's horrendously pitted. And the first thing it tells me is the ride is just brilliantly resolved. Better than the last 450s, without a doubt. Smothered that out, better than virtually any car I've ever driven up here. But also, there was no clonks, rattles, anything emanating from underneath the car that shouldn't be there. But the ride is just, as I said, it's a difficult thing to get with cars. Is, do you go overtly soft and barge-like and give a pillowy ride at the expense of cornering, or do you go for a slightly firmer setup where you've got an unyielding suspension? And this, like all of the very good cars, manages somehow to combine the two, because it's got, it corners relatively flat. Again, in a different league to the last 450s, which were good, by the way, but it still allows this wonderful ride. Brakes, by the way, are absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to go mad with them, but there's no pulsing, there's no vibrations, so they're all in absolutely fine order. Finally coming inside the car, the first thing again that sort of strikes you, as with any Lexus car, is this is real build quality. Not when they hand them to the journalists after a couple of hundred miles on the clock. This is a few years down the line, a few miles on the clock. No squeaks, no rattles, beautifully bolted together car, and a lovely place to sit. You are in, you can just tell straight away you are in sort of the upper end of the market in these cars. The switch gear, the finish, the trim, the materials used, all of the very, very finest order. But it all sits very nicely in the car. You've got this massive sat-nav screen mounted up nice and high in the dashboard there, which has recessed it further back in so you don't get the glare. You've got this little mouse pad here, which I've now got used to on the Lexus cars. You can go into deeper into sort of other settings. You've got separate controls for your ventilation, which I really like. I hate it when they don't do that. The sound system is astonishing in these as well, by the way, but there again, it's not fighting a lot of noise because it's so quiet in here. These clocks, by the way, I love the fact they've stuck with an analog clock on there, and at night when it's lit up it looks absolutely beautiful. The detailing is fantastic. Spend a couple of minutes looking at them, because someone at Lexus is very proud, and rightly so, of that. Everything's working as it should. Air conditioning pumps out ice cold air, because we checked it in a nice warm workshop earlier on. Then the dash in front, again, your classic Lexus, fantastic backlighting, detailing. They put enormous amounts of effort into making these look good, and it does. It looks absolutely fantastic. And then finally this lovely leather-bound steering wheel, which feels great in hand. I love these cars, but this is a truly exceptional vehicle, I have to say, and I cannot fault it in any way, shape or form.